You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Pretty Little Liars After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Pretty Little Liars After Show.
All right, well, Bing is for doing, and we're here doing another Pretty Little Liars After Show for you all. It's the one right before the finale, and it was a Hoe Down tonight. Of course, it's season 4, episode 11, Bring the Hoe Down. They know how to do a play on words over at Pretty Little Liars. I'm Stephanie Wenger.
Hi, you guys. Whitney Lane.
Hi, guys. Joining you, Emma K.
So what did you think of the Hoe Down episode? Fun? We always get these themed episodes.
It was my favorite ever.
Well, you were like our Nashville girl here.
I was like singing along to the country music. I know
We had
you were probably
live
like,
entertainment. No, I loved it.
It was great. I loved it. It's so different from what we normally get.
Exactly. It felt really just like fun, and it reminded me of, I think one of our producers was just saying, like a Halloween episode, like one of those, like really they were all dressed up, like all together in the same room, because a lot of times we kind of have 4 separate storylines going on, and this brought everybody together.
Yeah, it definitely is building things up for next week, so I'm excited to see what happens with that.
I mean, Redcoat revealed next week, apparently.
And we were so close, weren't we?
Mm-hmm. We're so like,
close.
I mean, all indications are, of course, that it's CeCe, but
I don't think so anymore.
But
we'll have to get.
We'll get into that later.
It was creepy, though. I almost wanted to like close my eyes and let the scene go by, just so I could hear the noises and what was gonna happen, and then rewind back and look at it.
Couldn't agree more. They definitely want you to think it's CeCe, but we'll get into who we think it is a little later on. But should we start out with kind of this whole deal of Hanna, Caleb, and this creepy guy?
Yeah, I was a little scared. I mean, at school, first off, I just have to comment when they're all sitting there right when it opens and you see their plates of food. It's like pasta. It's like 3 burgers for Aria. Like, no. That's not happening in real life.
You're like, unrealistic. I'm sorry.
They're too cute to be eating all that food in the middle of the day. But, yeah, I mean, they are just like, they're all kind of scared about what's happening. And Hanna, for one, is definitely a little bit freaking out, which is understandable. But you could see it there. You know, she's crying in school. She's throwing up her breakfast, she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was too much for her. You know, I feel really bad for the girls and what they're going through, especially with Lieutenant Tanner. She's horrible. She's, I think, in a way more conniving and worse than Wilden.
I completely agree, because she's like really laying it on them thick. Like, she is going in there and questioning them in a way that I don't think we ever really saw. Wilden was around and kind of, I don't know, he questioned them, but it just feels like she's slightly more aggressive with it.
Which is probably better, though, because Wilden had like an inside scoop in that. He was like involved. At least she seems like a third party with all of this going on. And I mean, she's saying the things that are getting these girls visibly upset. Like I said while we were watching, it's like, Hanna, sit down. Don't act so disturbed over it. I mean, that makes it just more questionable, you know, when Lieutenant Tanner walks away.
Right, and Hannah's like wearing her emotions on her sleeve right now. Like, she's got her mom going through all this stuff with allegedly, obviously, murdering Wilden, and then, like, I think it has her own personal stuff with Caleb. Like, there's just a lot going on her plate, it feels like to me.
Which, I mean, I can't even imagine if that was happening to me. She's doing pretty well. I mean, she's still got those fun little one-liners that she pulls out. Like, are you pregnant, Spencer? Like, in the middle of this whole, like, I love it. But yeah, it's Hanna.
That's one of my favorite things about Pretty Little Liars, though, is that kind of they can have all this drama going on around them and scary things that would leave most of us traumatized, and they're like still have that core friendship of like high school girls, and that's something that I think is so special about the show.
Yeah, so I mean, we see Hanna crying, and this dude who's like, I'm like, stalker. He's following her around. I'm like, what is he doing? Of course, there was a reason behind it all, which we found out once we got to the Hoe Down.
And I think she was a little bit too paranoid when the scene began, but then towards, you know, a little bit into the episode, I was looking at her, I'm like, that's not like you. You walk up to CeCe, you know, or Shauna in the middle of the day at the coffee shop, and you approach them, and you don't even approach this guy to see who he is, what he wants.
And when she finally does approach him, she just kind of leaves him there, like, stop doing this, and then ditches out the door. Doesn't really question him a ton about why he's there.
She has an inkling, though, because, you know, she opens that locker and she sees an envelope with Diva Dish on it.
Diva Dish, yes.
Filled with $100 bills. She's like, yeah, make it rain, but I don't want this money, because that means blackmail, usually, for Hanna, which is what's happened in the past. Yeah. And, of course, he's the one watching her this entire time, too. Like, he's always there.
And when
Sorry, go ahead.
We keep doing that tonight. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, you know, don't they realize, is this a new kid? Does he come to our school? Don't they know him?
Yeah.
Have they not seen him?
Well, we were all saying, like, has he been in a previous episode? Like, we were all racking our brains, and we're like, no, this is a completely new character, which is kind of rare right now on Pretty Little Liars. We have lots of people coming back in to play. And now we have this new guy, and what it turns out to be, obviously, is that he was there the night that Wilden was murdered, and he allegedly heard gunshot wounds. That's what or gunshots, I shouldn't say gunshot wounds, and claims that it, in fact, was not Hanna's mother.
Yeah, which was so awkward, because he's like, dance with me. Let me tell you what I know. I'm just like, okay. I mean, the Hoe Down, that was just the best part. A lot of things started unraveling there. So, should we get to it?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we were, all getting into it, was that at this Hoe Down, Hanna is lying to Caleb about how she knows this guy.
I get it, though, because you've seen how protective Caleb's been in the past. And I think he's probably just scared. What she tells him, she opens up to him about it, and he says, can you trust him? She's like, probably not, but, like, what else does she have right now?
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I mean, she's kind of got to go with what she hears, because her mom's stuck with no lawyer.
Yeah, and she's dancing with him, and he's revealing all this stuff. Do you believe him? That was my big question. I couldn't decide if I believed what he was saying, or if he had some other reason for getting on Hanna's good side, because it's making her so happy that.
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm always paranoid of people.
Well, the first thing I said is, it's Wilden's brother.
Yeah. I was like, they kind of look alike. But I actually trust him. I don't know. He seems pretty like good old boy with his dad going. Yeah,
and that's what I was gonna say. His dad is right there, so
I just don't see him like lying when his dad was kind of there that night as well. I don't know. I see him being honest. I don't know if there's an ulterior motive in terms of maybe he likes Hanna too.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, does he want to get in with Hanna and split her and Caleb up? Like, I just wasn't sure that there wasn't some other reason for revealing all of it. I don't necessarily question that that's the truth. I just kind of question why he's revealing it now, I guess.
It's going to be pretty open. Hanna will be available, as we know, with Caleb going to Ravenswood. So who knows? There's definitely a possibility. And
I didn't get that from him, though. I didn't think he was. I was like, oh, wait, maybe I'm thinking all this in my head and where the storyline could go. But I didn't get him as someone like, I'm going to try to come in between her and Caleb. You saw he was talking to Caleb like it wasn't. It's not like Jake and Ezra and Aria. You know, this is more like, I honestly felt he was like, you know what, I know something about this. It's not fair that her mother is at home, that she's crying at school, and that I know something that actually happened that night.
Plus, he didn't stick around. He told her what he needed to, and he left. He was in there to ruin the party or the fun and try to steal someone's girlfriend.
I definitely don't think we've seen the end of him, though.
Oh, I hope not. I think it's actually a good twist, and I like him. I like Travis right now.
You like him. See, a few weeks ago, I sat on the show and was like, I'm going to believe in everyone. It's going to be great. And now I'm back to my questioning every person I'm encounter on this program.
Yeah, I think we're still questioning him, but he seems more genuine to me than let me pull out a pair of cowboy boots and present them to you at a coffee shop.
That was cute.
I was just about to say, okay,
that was cute.
The love triangle of the night was obviously this thing between Jake, Ezra, and Aria.
I like Jake. I like him. He turned a new leaf for me tonight because that dude's got moves. But I still thought
I'm officially in love with him.
Okay, see, I love it.
We got a little tweet.
I'm still like, you know what? We're in a coffee shop. You're getting down on a knee to put this boot on her. Cute boots, by the way. But it was just a little awkward. And she felt she's like, everyone's staring.
But you have to remember they don't have many places to go, so the coffee shop is like the it place for them. It's like where everything happens,
It's
where
the
everything
one-
goes down.
Yeah, it's the one and only coffee shop, obviously.
Obviously, because in she comes and there sits Ezra.
I think that's so cute because a guy could buy many gifts for a girl, but to buy shoes and they're cute on top of that, I give him props.
I mean,
I'm like Team Jacob all the way.
Okay, so I am in the long haul, you know this, Team Ezra all the way. But tonight I have to give credit and say Jake was pretty cute with her. Like,
well, he's also protective a little bit.
Did you see his moves?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, let's get back to the coffee shop because Ezra's sitting there, and obviously he has already told Emily what's been happening. Because he snapped at her, which was really like not in him. It
yeah,
wasn't
I was
in
gonna
him,
say,
you know?
like, it wasn't his character. Like, it's very out of character for him. He's such a calm, collected guy. We always say that their dates are like watching movies. He's not this guy who would snap at someone like that. And you
over
really,
a college recommendation letter. It's just
yeah,
not.
for having too glowing of a college recommendation letter.
People have real problems, Emily.
Yeah. Have you seen what's going on with the girls? Really?
Yeah.
You were the
right?
one in the middle of them.
And they even reference it tonight. Like, they're like, we all have pretty serious problems. And when you think about it, they really do. But with Ezra, he doesn't want Emily to, share that secret with Aria because he wants to be the one to tell her. Kind of a...
Really?
I don't know.
I think that was just the way he knew Emily would go and tell Aria.
But
because Aria's not picking up his phone calls.
Yeah.
How else was he going to get to?
And why does-
And Jake is like
She
in
was the
middle.
communication channel, 110%. Sorry to interrupt you.
But, I love how Aria describes him in this episode. She says, he's kind of like he has that sad puppy face. And I think she really sees, like, that's not attractive.
No, I don't think she realizes what Jake can give her, which is, and she talks about it in the episode tonight, that she can go to a dance with him and no one's going to question it. Like, she can have a real relationship outside of the confines of this apartment. And I think that that's a real draw, especially for a high school girl.
Yeah, but regardless, there's a lot of unanswered questions between the two. Their first love right there for her, at least. Like, she cares, and obviously you see that once she finds out. She thinks he's just going to be like, let's talk, like, I don't want you dating someone else.
Right.
Really, he's trying to open up to her, which, in a way, like, I get it. He needs to confide in someone, and really, if you think about it, she's the only one he has to talk to about it. Think about it, though. He doesn't talk to his
has
parents.
his mom, his brother.
No, he would never go.
He would
and
never,
confide in
because that
them.
would be like a can of worms.
Like, he's starting to confide in the girls. Aria's his go-to, but, like, look, he's telling Emily, or he'll open up to Spencer about small, like, little things.
Yeah.
I just like that she kept her secrets to herself, or her problems to herself, when she was having problems with, her brother at school, or, other problems that she's had. She hasn't called Ezra. She called Jake to get help with her brother. So I just wish she would have stuck to her guns and really stayed away from him, because if you won't go to him for your problems and confide in him, why would you want to be the one to be there for him and open up those gates when you've already put it up?
I get it, but think about it as you. Like, what would you do if this was someone you still loved but couldn't be with? Like, that's what it is for her. And when someone's, like, hurting that much and really does need to talk to someone, and you see, he kind of, at the Hoe Down, she finds out because Emily tells her, and she goes over and she's like, talk about this. He's like, no, he tries to give them the space like Jake asked, and he left. Aria took it upon herself to walk over to his apartment after Jake dropped her off.
And that actually made me really happy. I'm on the exact opposite side to you. See, I know that, like, Jake might be the more logical choice for her, but for some reason, I just want them to, like, be together in the end. And so anything that, like, makes I think at this point you could call that they have a friendship, and anything that
There's more, though.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. And so if they can maintain that friendship, like, I'm happy at this
It's not just going to be a friendship on either level.
With them two, everything is so dark. Even though, you know, they have their happy moments and they went on dates and, you know, they were cute and stuff like this, but something really felt cold and dark between them. And with Jake, it's just so lively, and she's genuinely, she seems happy. I'm not saying she wasn't happy with Ezra, but it was different. Like, he himself, I feel like he has this darkness inside of him.
Maybe he weighed her down. Is that kind of what you mean?
I think it was a more mature relationship. He's older. I think they actually confided in each other about a lot of things, and I don't think Jake and her are on that level. They're in that, like, newlywed, like, let's have fun and let's
honeymoon
dance.
stage.
Which it should be, because that's her age. But still, she's always going to have that relationship with Ezra, and I don't think it'll ever stop in that sense. Like, she's gonna go talk to him when he's in need. He would be there, like you saw when Mike got in trouble. He went to the principal. He did things
and
that
he's
she didn't even know
there,
about.
Like, when she went into that locker room and it could have gone really differently for her, he was like right there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on either team just in terms of like relationship, but I see the differences between it, and I think
100%.
that I probably would have done what she did as going over to Ezra's apartment to find out what's going on. He's losing his son, which she doesn't even know as of right now that it's not really his son. Like, I would have done the same thing.
That's going to be quite the reveal, I
See,
hope.
that is, you know, why didn't he tell Emily that piece either?
I don't know. That's what I wrote down. I was like, Emily still thinks it's his son. Like, that's a huge piece of this that has yet to kind of play out.
Right. But is she the person you would tell, or are you going to wait till you actually sit down with Aria and have that conversation?
I don't know how much was the conversation with Emily just to get to Aria, like the communication channel. Maybe. I don't know.
It could be that. It could be him just frustrated. He lets it out. But I don't think that he would necessarily open up fully to Emily. He's going to do that to Aria, who knows what he's been going through.
I just wish she would have, like, called him before just walking over to his apartment, especially with everything going on with you know, Redcoat running around. I just really want them to take cautious steps and moves before making or running into someone's apartment.
Yeah, so before we move on to Toby and Spencer, I also just want to say that we alluded to it earlier. How great was the dance between Jake and Aria? Just like one of my favorite moments. So light, so fun. Like, Whitney couldn't get enough of it. I'm gonna call you out.
I was like, he's totally got it going on.
You know,
that's tough stuff right there, that two-step. Like, he got it.
I want to see him on Dancing with the Stars.
I know, adorable. I was like,
that was fun.
It was a really fun moment in the show because there's so much darkness tonight.
And we got a lot of weird dances, too. That one was a fun, upbeat one, which had to, I mean, the thing is, it's like, you know, those things take a while to choreograph, but that dude had it.
He was like so light on his feet. Even I'm like, Aria, step it up. Come on, what are you doing?
I loved it. Best part.
Yeah.
And the country song.
That is what made me fall in love with him. I actually
so glad we
tweeted
could
and I was like
pinpoint exactly the moment. But we also had a lot of secrets revealed tonight, and one of which was that kind of what was going on with Toby's mom. We're still figuring that out, but Spencer revealed that there was something going on to all of her friends, and we saw that played out at the Hoe Down again, which lots of drama on the dance floor.
See, that's a whole other thing. I think Spencer's just thinking about Toby and caring for him and not wanting him to get hurt because, I mean, look what kind of happened, you know? He's getting all caught up. It's emotions. It's not logic that he's thinking about. He's reading these texts. He's getting pictures. He's getting clues. And he just wants to go and figure out what happened to his mom. But at the same time, it's like, you really have to think about this because it could be a trap. There's so many different scenarios, which is why I think Spencer has a right to care about her boyfriend enough in that sense.
Well, you just saw the emotion on his face when he heard the CD of his mom singing. It was just like pure emotion
who
on
does
Toby's
that?
face.
Who is this person or these people? It's so messed up.
Yeah.
But I don't like the fact how, you know, he tries to make it, you know, all on Spencer, like it's Spencer's fault. And what is so wrong with the girls knowing about it? You know, it's like they were a team. You and Caleb were working together to try to figure out who he is, and you've been doing all you can to help your girlfriend out. So, you know, I just see them as one team, and I don't like that he's separating him and Spencer and putting, you know,
He's making her choose between her friends and
But
him.
the reasoning behind it is because he knew as soon as the other girls found out, he would stop getting clues, which is what happened. The girls found out. He's going to Dr. Palmer's old car, and the cops are called on him.
Yeah.
So he had an right
do you think
to
that was how it was going to be originally?
Yes, I definitely think that was the ploy. Like Spencer, she's being torn, she's being pulled, she has to decide, but at the same time, as soon as she does kind of, you know, tell her friends and it kind of all comes unfolding, he lost his clues.
I think that's how it was going to end up. Like, the cops were going to come regardless.
I think it was because she told the girls.
I
think he could have kept getting more clues.
Should I be the tiebreaker here, or should I? I'm just like, that's a tough call.
There's so many different reasons behind it, but I think that's why he was so upset about her telling him, because he said it. He said it during the Hoe Down. He's like, now you just made me stop
But
getting
then
clues.
he compromised them by giving the truck to A. So you can't be mad and upset about something when you were on the opposite team at one point.
That's what I was just about to say. He betrayed Spencer so badly, and then to come back and be like, oh, you betrayed me just by telling your friends. It seems like an extreme.
It is, but you know, deep down, they are all going to be looking out for themselves too. Hannah's looking out for her mom. You see the tension between her and Spencer because of Spencer's mom no longer getting to be the lawyer. You see Toby getting upset because he's finding stuff out about his mom. His main goal is to find out if his mom was murdered. Mm-hmm. He's going to do what it takes. In the end, they're all going to be selfish in that sense, and that's kind of how A pulls them apart. Give them something that's just for that one person and see who they choose. Are they going to choose their family, or are they going to choose their friends?
Yeah, well, we even saw at the end of the episode with the black gloves, who I'm sure we'll talk about who that is later on, but those dolls, like, they're targeting each girl individually in a lot of ways, and you kind of see that and you don't know who they stab next, but those dolls are getting stabbed and they're going after these girls, and like what will get to them in the worst possible way.
Which I guess is why it's called Pretty Little Liars, because they all have their secrets and they all lie to each other. Because they're thinking about themselves as well, but that's the point. They're stronger together, so who knows?
Took the words out of my mouth. Yes, we always talk about this, that these girls, when they work as individuals, they make mistakes. They can be careless with what they're doing, and we saw that a lot earlier this season. And when they work together, that's when they are the best at finding out these clues. And that's why tonight's episode was so great, because they were all together in that Hoe Down.
Which makes sense. I think when you're doing something on your own, you're thinking about yourself. Emotions kind of take the toll. But when you have your friends who are giving you, like, playing devil's advocate and giving you other ways to think about it, the logic plays a part. So I think that's kind of what they're showing with Toby as well. Who knows?
It's going to be really interesting next week to see if we get more of those answers revealed with Toby. Like, we don't know if Toby's mom was actually murdered. All the clues we've seen so far would make you think that, but what actually happened? Why are they tormenting him with all these little facts about his mom?
So what do you think's going to happen since the cops came?
I mean, we'll get into it, I'm sure, in predictions a little bit, but I just can't imagine them having another character being questioned by the police. Like, I mean, that's probably what's going to happen, but it just seems like we've had so many characters at that police station this year.
I know, but I just wonder, obviously someone had to call the cops because it's a deserted car just sitting there. Why would the cops be coming to his house that night? They're not. He's a doctor in a you know, he's in a hospital or whatever it is that he's in right now, a care facility. Like, someone called to say.
Yeah, and it's an old car, like, in the middle of, it did not look like a populated area particularly. Like, it was interesting that the cops would just roll up at that exact moment, and then they ran. So did the cops catch them? I'm sure that they did. Like,
we'll find out, huh?
Yeah. It's so many questions.
I'm disappointed in Toby.
I wish he wouldn't have done that, but
I mean, sometimes
wants to figure it out.
You get desperate, I guess. I mean, that's what his character has been all season.
But then you lose, sight of what really is going on and what you really need to do. So you lose focus, which is what he's been doing. And it's really easy to go down the wrong path because you're so emotionally invested in which he is invested in finding out what really happened to his mom and finding out details and any clue that he can, that he's not seeing what's right in front of his face.
Yeah, logic has gone out the window for him. He's angry at Spencer for revealing, like, he's so focused on this one thing that he can't see kind of the forest through the trees. I'm kind of like, I feel like, I like the old Toby better just because he had like his emotions blocked, and not that it's good, but he was able to help out and to really be the devil's advocate for even Spencer.
Yeah. I read a note earlier. Does he go to school?
We don't see him
ever
at the high school.
Spencer does his homeworks.
Yeah, something happens, because I was like, that dude's not in school. Isn't he the same age as these other people? He's getting in his truck. He does work. Like, I'm like, what's happening here in Rosewood?
Homeschool?
But remember how when they went to Ravenswood and he was telling Spencer, like, you were getting advice or you were getting the phone number from a talking bird?
Yeah.
And we all laughed because it was like, that is funny because it's so true, but now he's lost logic and he's completely off track.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I can only imagine. I mean, he wants to figure out what really happened. To start getting clues that something besides what you thought happened to your parent.
Oh, I mean, the hardest thing in the world.
I don't know how I would keep logic the whole time.
I don't even know. That's just...
See, they pull on everyone's emotions, though, because if you put yourself into their position, then you would probably do a lot of the similar things that they do, just because you're leading by emotions, not thinking about what the consequences are.
That's exactly how I watch this show. But tell us what you think. Like, you can go on, and how would you react in these situations? I mean, imagine that. Go on iTunes, rate, comment. It helps us know what you like, dislike about our show, and we love reading your comments and tweet at us, so it's always fun.
Yeah, it helps us.
Yeah, it totally does. And you guys catch the most amazing things. I've had tweets all week of like screen grabs of things that I'm like, I did not catch that. Way to go. You guys are the best. So thank you for that.
Love it.
Yeah. Moving on here to the Emily Paige situation. It's interesting because we saw a little bit of drama in their relationship last week with Emily just not sure where they're heading, and then she goes to the Hoe Down.
Well, first off, Paige is like, she's like, are we going together still? And she keeps texting her, and Emily doesn't really respond, doesn't give her a flat-out answer.
Well, even before then, when Paige picked up the recommendation letter and she was reading it, and she's like, Emily, I've been to enough weddings to know that this is something that you say, in your vows and your speech. You don't write this in a recommendation letter. I just felt like Emily was overreacting a little bit with the whole situation, and because she knows that it's true.
Zoe's totally into her. We saw this.
Exactly.
Yeah, we predicted it. Yeah.
Completely is, into her, and it's true. So why would you get mad about it?
Yeah, I just felt like you kind of saw that tension of growing up, growing apart. Yeah, and Emily was... She's now looking for something to be wrong. That's what I felt like tonight, more than there is
everything
something.
Irritates you. Everything gets on your nerves.
I felt like it was more like they're just done. They're going in different directions. She already knows, like, come college time, Paige is at Stanford, and she has no clue where she's going, but it's not going to be there. I think it's realistic. I think she's being realistic about what the relationship's going to happen with it.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job of portraying that senior year experience of like splitting up and figuring out.
Sad.
It's sad.
I mean,
friendships, relationships, it's all really tough. But I thought it was interesting that Emily actually did go to the Hoe Down, because she mentions that she knew that Paige was most likely going to be there, but she hadn't told Paige that she would be there as well.
Yeah, it was kind of awkward, right?
It was, and I didn't like the way she approached her at the end to dance with her. It was kind of like a last resort. Like, I don't want to be stuck dancing with anyone else, so let me dance with you. It was like, really?
Yeah.
You don't want to come with her, but you want to dance with her because you don't want anyone else, or you don't want to be stuck with any people who's left over and who doesn't have anyone to dance with.
I almost thought it was like, let's put closure on this relationship and be happy for one night. Like, I don't know. It was more like they just wanted to, I don't know how to explain it, but it seemed like.
You hear about these breakups where these, people go on like a weekend away or, in high school, like one last date night. And that's what it felt like to me, like one last dance. Like, let's just have this thing before we go our separate ways. And maybe other people will disagree with us and think like this is them reconciling in some way, but.
It was an interesting dance, too, because we were commenting how they were both facing forward the whole time.
Definitely not a Jake dance.
No, and it was definitely, there was emotion involved, but it was also very, like, that was just their dance. It wasn't a group of people doing the, like,
No, definitely.
Well, the two things I noticed about the way they were dancing was that one is that for camera blocking, it was interesting because they were both facing the camera versus sometimes, changing angles and having that kind of more intimate. But they weren't looking at each other. That's what was so, like, I was like, what's making this dance not work for me? And like, because even Jake and Aria at times were looking at each other while they were dancing side by side, where they didn't really.
Well, this one was a slow dance. Yeah, so that was a little bit interesting too. If you think about body language in general, you would be facing each other if you were still kind of in a loving relationship.
Right.
I think they still care a lot about each other, but you saw them shift to where they're both facing the camera.
Yeah.
And so it was more like closed off between them.
Yeah. I don't think that you're ever going to see them. I think that Emily and Paige will always care about each other. I think that we're seeing maybe a hiccup in their relationship. I'm not even sure that it's done forever. I just think that right now they're going in two separate ways, which is so common as you go off to school.
Well, the one thing I do want to point out about Paige is that Emily looks over and she sees her there sitting with 3 other girls. Next time she looks over, they're not there. And then she looks up and sees a redcoat walking upstairs. And I'm like, what's happening? Where did Paige go, first of all? Because then they end up coming back down. But that's after Spencer and Emily were in the truck trying to follow Redcoat.
And that was one of the creepiest scenes. We'll get into everything with Redcoat here, but the creepiest scene was when they tried to drive that truck away and you see the hay in the back moving, and then all they find is that coat.
I was like, Emily's like ready to kill someone with that, like,
I was like,
girlfriend.
Ooh, going
but
for
still, that made me a little bit skeptical because we also hear CeCe. She comes back finally, and we hear her saying, there's no way I'm going back to Rosewood. So that made me think something. You see Paige disappear for a little bit. She comes back after they come inside. I don't know. It just made the wheels start turning again as to who really.
But we always think everyone's a suspect, which, has nothing to do with, what they do is just, in the moment when you see how the scene unfolds, you start suspecting every single person, but I've said it for a while, I think Paige is team A, but we'll wait and see.
I hope she's not. I want to believe that she had a genuine relationship with Emily because I think that would mess.
But that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Toby had a genuine relationship with Spencer, and he was still team A. So
yeah.
And I just think, how could that relationship end and her go off to college and Emily go somewhere else, and that's just how it ends? There has to be something more that happens.
So Paige, possible suspect?
I don't know. It's just you pick up the clues when you're watching.
Absolutely.
And when you don't see her, you see Redcoat, then she comes back. Once they get back inside, you just, the wheels start turning as to could she be involved.
Someone tweeted me a list of literally every blonde character that's been on the show, and it made me question everyone, not just the blondes, just everyone. And so I'm right there with you in that same boat where.
Plus, the whole Jenna situation happened at her aunt's lake house, so they just happened to plan it there, happened to have Jenna there. It's just
you never know.
I don't know.
You never know.
So CeCe, we see CeCe at
finally. I was like, there she is.
We've been waiting all season for this.
Talking about her forever, and everyone else is too, and finally to get to see her.
Yeah, so where was she? Do we know where she was when she's like, I'm not going back to Ravenswood? Any
to
thought?
Rosewood?
Or to Rosewood, sorry about that.
I almost think she was just in some sort of
hiding
hotel, or it was something, but she had pictures up of all the girls. It looked like she had a police report sitting on the desk. And what else was in there? The red coat.
Maybe, yes, maybe that's where her and Wilden used to hide away.
That's a
where
good
he would take all the evidence.
Yeah.
So who knows who she was talking to?
And then she
Melissa.
Yeah.
Somebody.
I'm still stuck on that one too.
Well, Melissa is one of my top guesses for sure. But she also then shows up. How did she know where Ezra lived? So she shows up at Ezra's door.
She knows a lot more than we think.
Yeah, and
It's not difficult to follow the girls in a very small town.
Yeah.
that is true. It is a small town. And we see her standing outside that door
In a navy coat.
in a navy coat, creepily listening. And this is when, of course, Ezra is revealing apparently all of his secrets about Maggie and how he's not the father of his child and all of this. So what is she going to do with that information?
How could she actually hear that? Like, come on. You're putting your ear up against a door. Like, what if someone walks by and there you are? That's so weird.
I mean, you think about it in like your own apartment complex, and you're just like, nope, that would not
I would
stand.
definitely be like, what in the world is happening?
Yeah.
But, I mean, for a second, I kind of thought, well, is she wearing a wig? Is that the Allie mask? But I thought, that's definitely CeCe. And then she turns. They give you a great view of her face there.
Yeah, there was no question that was CeCe. But is there more than one red coat? There's so many questions about who has the red coat. Are they trading, like each taking turns with the red coat? There's so many possibilities, and there's only one more episode left.
Well, let's talk about, because we missed the part where the girls go into the, what is it called? What did they call that?
The
The crawl space.
Of course, yeah.
Because Aria almost gets an eye stabbed out. And obviously Miss DeLaurentis was with Hanna shopping for the Hoe Down, and the girls are trying to find out. Someone was there, obviously.
Yeah.
And they had knitting needles that they were poking down into the holes. That's creepy. Like, this is when you go and you run and you find out who it is.
That was what I wanted. I wanted them to run back up and get the person, or when they were outside the Hoe Down, like chase her down. I don't understand this like half run. I would be at a full sprint.
I mean, it's because they're scared.
Allie's grandma? I don't know.
Well, but
I
then,
think it has something to do with the sorority.
Yeah.
which she comes back next week, it looks
Exactly.
like.
Well, we've mentioned before that this cross-generational, what parents are involved, like the grandparents, there's a lot of that going on as well.
And, you know, if I remember correctly, CeCe got kicked out of school, correct?
Yeah,
believe
because
so.
of Allie.
I'm guessing she went somewhere else, which was probably the university they went to visit and was part of that sorority. So who knows if Allie was visiting her there as well. And that was the room she was
Right.
staying in.
The other thing that we didn't talk about, too, is I get why the girls are scared to run after her, because you never know if they're going to pull a gun out on you. And we found out that Allie had a gun pulled on her once.
Well, in this flashback, we get this mention of kind of why they might be afraid that, like, their friend had a gun pulled on her, and
As she was breaking up people, which she offered to do for Emily. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
she
with
likes to
Ben.
definitely start the drama.
Yeah.
We knew that about Allie, but
yeah, she's not afraid of getting in the mix, but I would think that having a gun pulled on you would make you take a minute and think, like, is this the right thing that I'm doing? But she didn't seem deterred. She seemed still willing to do the breakups.
and so Emily brought up the fact, could it have been Wilden dating CeCe? They break up.
That was a good point.
It was. But was that also just planting something in our minds to think that could be it? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
that was one of the crazier flashbacks, though, because we focus in on the nail polish, and it jumps you to this scene with Allie, and is Allie still around? These are all big questions that, because the girls don't know. Everyone assumes she's dead, but, like, there's been sightings, like her mom mentioned it, and they've seen her in some capacity, or in visions of her at least. So it'll be interesting to see. That's another blonde possibility right there.
Yeah. I'm excited
Definitely.
for next week.
Really
It's
excited.
gonna be great.
Anything else? Should we get to news and gossip?
Let's do it.
News and gossip. So let's do the start here with Lucy Hale. Oh,
There it is.
like it. All right. So Lucy Hale talked about this on and off relationship that Aria and Ezra have, and she believes that they will be together in the end. We've talked about it before, I think, in News and Gossip, but she said in an interview, for the first time, Aria likes a guy other than Ezra, and we see that with Jake tonight, and wants to make it work, but I think Aria always senses it's just not the same. There's always that one person. Now Maggie, who ruined their relationship, might be leaving, so she sees the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of see it, right? That's why she went to his apartment. I don't know.
I mean,
have more fun for a little bit, girl. Be a high schooler.
I mean, yeah, she has all the time in the world to figure out what she wants, and like, how is that relationship gonna work in college? I mean, that seems like, is he gonna move to where she goes? Like, we haven't really seen the her deal with like the college situation, so.
Which they did, and I guess a couple episodes ago, be like, we're not going to graduate. So who knows if that's a whole nother twist on it, but.
Yeah, or they all end up at the same college, a la every show ever.
We'll see.
Yes. So, and then Ian Harding talked about that, you know, we've said this season has been the craziest ever, I think. Like, we talk about it episode after episode, that it gets more and more intense. But the second half of this season, which airs in January, he claims is going to be even more intense, saying it's pulling out all the stops. I think people are going to literally drop dead. And that's a quote from Ian Harding, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, but is that also a spoiler?
But we saw for next week's episode.
Yeah.
We saw Jake. Remember? Did you see the flash?
Yeah.
Of him like laying on the ground, freezing cold. I was like,
yeah. Does he mean a character on the show, or us as fans?
Or him?
Or him?
We don't know.
There's so many. That's like one of the best quotes ever, though. When I was pulling news, I was like, that is a phenomenal quote. And then just a little news about Ravenswood. They have cast a real-life couple, Henry Simmons, who is on NYPD Blue, and Sophina, I want to get her name right, Brown, and she's on Numbers, and they're a real-life couple, and they'll be playing a couple on the show. And I always think that that's really fun when shows decide to go that way.
Hey, they get to spend time together, right?
Exactly, and that's kind of rare in Hollywood. So that's our news and gossip for today. Want to go to predictions?
Yes.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I love this part.
Who wants to jump in first? It's the one before the season finale.
I'll go. I have two.
Okay, go
one
for
of
it.
them's just like cute, maybe. I mean, I don't want this to happen, but I don't know if I was just pulling on this, but Travis and Hanna, a little bit of something. Is she going to be like relying on him now that he came forward and helped her out so much, especially if Caleb's leaving? That's one of mine. The other thing, which I don't think we've really questioned at all, and it made me really think it this time, is that Miss DeLaurentis is somehow a part of this in a bad way, simply because she and Allie never got along. You saw their relationship. She's a knitter. She loves to knit. She just blows off that someone was down there living. Oh, they're probably gone now. I don't know. I feel like she's a little bit sketchy. She's back to the house. I don't know. I'm going to be watching her now.
She's not stable. We know that. So is she...
I'm definitely going to be watching her now as part of...
I hope she wouldn't injure her own child.
Well, that might not be it, but she may know a lot more than she's letting on
That's
to.
true.
So
there's a lot of people who know a lot in this town.
I'm gonna have to predict that the lady from the sorority mother, is actually gonna help the girls out and help them get to the clues and really show them the right path and how to find the information.
I hope.
Cool.
I think she knows stuff, right?
Yeah, I hope so too. I think that Toby is not going to be as forgiving as Spencer was, and you're going to see a real divide in their relationship over her revealing this secret, because he thought that it was just like them two against the world. And when he realizes that she isn't willing to like leave her friends out in the dark, he's going to get upset, or you can see he's already upset, and that's going to cause hopefully not a breakup, but definitely some real tension in their relationship.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work on that relationship.
They have so much for next week, tying up these ends until, well, I guess we get the Halloween episode, but till January, really. Crazy. I'm so excited. So thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us. I'm Stephanie Wenger, and you can find me on Twitter at Stephanie Wenger.
Hi, you guys. Whitney Lane. You can find me on Twitter at Whitney Lane Fern.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RealEmmaK.
And follow AfterBuzz on @AfterBuzzTV.
Of course,
Yes.
as always. Thanks, guys.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.